The medical and psychological effects of Mufasa Friday have to be studied. How does he lift our moose so effectively? It's because it's a recognition of fighter jet down Friday. It's true. Was your team meeting this morning by chance an interview for FBI director? Yes, I am the new director of the FBI. I'm going to be the new director of the FBI. It's true. It's going to happen. Yeah, fighter jet Friday. You already know what's up. You already know what it is. Decoy, thank you for the 5 gifted. I'm live. I'm alive. There's a lot to talk about, but before I do that, 71 degrees and sunny here on stolen Tongva land, which is where I'm tuning to you live from. Okay. And yeah, there's so much to talk about, but as far as personal news goes, my chud ass loser life, my big chungus life, you already know I didn't do nothing except I ended the broadcast yesterday after the University of San Francisco Law School talks that I gave. And then after that, I hung out with Shoikat Chakrabarty. And we went to a couple different spots, local places that he wanted to film at. We hung out and he wined and dined me. Okay. I'll tell you what, he wined and dined my ass. And it was incredible. We went to a Palestinian restaurant called Beit Rima. And oh my freaking Lord, dude. Beit Rima. Oof. If y'all have not been, oh my God, bro. Oh my God, brother. It is so good. Beit Rima, it was so freaking good. I had everything, bro. I had everything. It was spectacular. Spectacular. Can't fucking recommend it enough. Okay. Can't recommend it enough. We hung out, we filmed some stuff. The owners are fans apparently of both myself and also Shoikat as well. And yeah. I had the chicken shish tawuk, which was great, and I had the Gazan braised lamb shank, which with couscous as well. I'm still thinking about it, dude. I'm still thinking about it. It was so good. Hasan compromised by the Shoikat lobby. Yeah, bro, he fucking did it. He did that thing. But I've been a fan, as you guys know, I've been a fan of Shoikat, and I've been, promoting him pretty heavily, in spite of the fact that there's a lot of people on San Francisco left that are understandably a little bit worried about him. And the only reason why I say understandably worried about him is because I had the same concerns when I first heard that he was running. I knew of him. I knew of what he had done in the past, but I was still a little bit, a little bit worried, given that he's, centimillionaire tech guy. What's this about, right? Hasan Abi Theo Von Law? What is this? Yeah. In any case, TPR 91, Shish Tawuk lobby captured. What the fuck? Yeah, we also went to, I met Major in Gaza. This is a very important corner store, key food market. It's a very important cultural landmark from what I understand in San Francisco. Yeah, no, that was great as well. What is this? Can you speak on your thoughts about that student question about the October 7 rapes? Can you elaborate on how that person was coming off? No, it's classic. There's always one. There's always one. That weirdo student yesterday. Yeah, I mean, it didn't actually work, did it? I mean, it was quite embarrassing for the student. So, and he kind of understood that it was embarrassing. He got like super red. And it was, it's one of those things where like in your head, I think in your head and on the internet, you have an idea of like how things are going to go, but then in person, it doesn't go that way. Like, it's just, it doesn't work that way. This has happened already. This has already happened. This happened at Cambridge too. I don't mind it, right? Because I think people I think people personally have this notion that like a real world interaction is going to take place in the same way that you envisioned it in your mind, or the same way that you assumed it would happen on the internet. Because you can't strip a conversation of its nuance when the person can actively respond. There was something in their voice, trauma, anger. They were 100% caught reframing the argument. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, it wasn't like I don't think it was a memorable moment at all. What happened? Oh, when I was speaking at University of San Francisco Law School, someone wanted to debate Lord me on one of the classic clips out of context. Rapes, October 7 rapes happening don't change the dynamic for me whatsoever on genocide and apartheid. Pete Kegsbreath has declared the Rice's whale is a national security threat to U.S. oil needs. Only 50 are left on our planet, and they live in the Gulf of Mexico. Sorry for caps. The news just broke. I have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, it was great. It was great overall. I had a great time. I don't personally appreciate how much I feel like schools are being annoying with their restrictions. Like Stanford, in my opinion, Stanford absolutely was trying to make sure that I just didn't do it, right? They didn't know how fucking hard-headed and stubborn I am, so they thought, oh, if we just like take away the mess hall, like take away the amphitheater or whatever, like the big area that he was going to do his speech at, like maybe he'll just not show up. And I was like, fuck that. I'm still showing up, you know? So Tim Miller being hot and defending you, what a fun time. Yeah, I saw. It's very funny that Tim Miller has a much better understanding of like exactly the dynamic that's shaping in the broader electorate, and had to be like, I'm putting my fucking foot down. I'm putting my foot down. I'm a former Republican, now Democrat. Like, I want to defeat the Republicans. You guys are being fucking insane. and it is very funny that there's this contingency of like rabid psychopaths who I don't think care about the party or its future at all. I think they just genuinely fucking hate me, and they're just I don't know. It kind of feels like they're mad that they don't have any relevance in the party at all, and they get mad that I am or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is Tim Miller. He's the one who cooked Zoran with the globalized intifada question, right? Like, in any case, here we'll. Oof. I mean, there's a lot to talk about today. We got the F-15 that fell, obviously. Okay. We'll be talking about all of that and more. Personal news wise, that's pretty much it. I got nothing else going on in my chud ass life. I got on a plane, flew back home, woke up at like 4:30, and yeah, Hasan Piker campaign videos coming. Yes, there are. He still says some fuck pro-Israel shit amongst us. So ew, did he? I didn't see that. Third Way tried to get people to hate you, and it backfired because everyone hates Third Way. Yeah, they just don't have any motion. And not only do they not have any motion, but they're also trying to hit this on the issue that is like the most unpopular issue. It's yet another instance where, they're so echo chambered because they only talk to other fucking lobbyists and rich people. Right. And that's what it is. That's all this is. You can only arrive at this conclusion that your line of attack on Israel against like one of the most prominent critics of Israel is going to be a successful way to identify and cut out a threat if you have never met a real human. If you've never met a normal human in your life in the last 3 years, you haven't been outside and you haven't actually like considered what things look like in the real world. So that's what it is. All right. Anyway, F-15 down, rescue mission, Iran, Epstein Fury, day 34. Trump wants $1.5 trillion war budget. Are we invading? Freaky Friday. Get in now. Right? Okay. Zeteo released the 28-minute Prof. Jiang. Oh, not my Jiang. Not my Professor Jiang. They released it. Nice. We can now finally watch it. It's no longer paywalled. I'm very excited about that. Army chief fired as well. All right, let's do it. Let's blast off. Let's get it twisted. Let's keep it going. By the way, don't worry. You didn't come up at Passover Seder last night. I didn't have to defend you. I guess you just don't have motion like that. That's crazy. You should have brought me up. Megaphonics, you are a coward. Okay? I'm going to say it. The fall off of Megaphonics has to be studied. Okay, this man went from wife guy to top chatter of the past year. Okay, on a fan voted contest, he was known as Mr. Elon Musk. Then he became known as Magaphonics, Wifeophonics. Then he became the top chatter, and now his fall from grace is here. You live long enough. And all of a sudden, you find yourself on the other side of that equation, okay? You go from top chatter to bottom chatter. Went from libophonics, magaphonics, to now, I don't even know what he would be. Anyway, I'll put me up. I'll primary megaphonics. I'll talk about you at all the dinners and at some lunches. Okay, good. See, this is exactly the kind of energy that I want. I want this kind of energy from you, okay? I want the kind of energy where you broach the subject at all the Seders. Maybe when you go religious gatherings, family gatherings in general, you're just like, hey guys, we got to talk about this, okay? We got to talk about this. We got to talk about this Hossie situation, okay? A lot of you guys are freaking out for no reason, okay? I don't like it. I don't like what you're saying. Defend me. Defend me, my fedayeen. I'm going to bring you up at church when Jesus comes back on Sunday. Okay. In a room full of Israel supporters that would somehow make me the least normal person in the room. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, this is what I did yesterday. I blasted off already. Let the people know. Obviously, we're live. We're alive. I'm back in the station, the command station. CubaVid's going to come out soon. It's actually almost completely wrapped at this point. I just wanted to do some additional tweaks to it to shorten the length of it, because I feel like there's long and convoluted pieces in it, and we made it very dynamic. We made it very fast, and we made it very interesting. I don't think it narratively plays very well when I have these long and extended interview pieces in between, with all of the other fast-paced cuts. So it was originally 36 minutes. It went up to 39 minutes. So now I'm trying to get it cut down to make it more Zoomer friendly and make it we'll see. A little bit of casualty cover-ups. Oh, yeah. Something that I find really funny. Thankfully, I didn't need to worry about you being mentioned at my Seder, since my family thinks the New York Times is anti-Semitic, Lamau. That's crazy. But the actual interviews, the actual OG interviews will also be released. So... the Iran talks have reached a dead end. Obviously, we'll talk about that as well. Iran literally said no talks in Islamabad. Islamabad is not at the table. That's right. In my mind, in my head canon, I think they're just saying we need Turkey to be at the table. Sorry, Pakistan. Turns out you ain't Turkey, little bro. Okay. Oh, look at us. We're Pakistan. We have nukes. Best Air Force in the world. We got the latest Chinese tech, riding high, thinking you can be the new table, okay? You are not the table, Pakistan. You are not the table. We are the table. Turkey's at the table, and Turkey is the table. But of course, today and forever, Pakistan Zindabad. All right. Trump contradicts his speech from 2 days ago again. Yeah, that's not surprising. All right. IRGC to Trump. We'll be covering all of this. We'll be covering all this. Okay. Yeah. Classic stuff. They threw Pam Bondi's portrait in the trash. I saw this. Such a funny that's such a funny image. All right. In any case, folks, yeah, where was I going to begin? Oh, so yeah. So yesterday I did USF Law. The day prior, I did the Stanford University. It was great. Both were great. One was a full-blown speech. The other one was like a moderated Q&A, and then like an unmoderated portion of the Q&A. And in the unmoderated portion of the Q&A, there was a moment where like someone was like, I'm going to get him.
Past stream of yours where you were discussing October 7th and the topic of the UN's report of sexual violence committed by Hamas came in, and I think your exact words were, I don't fucking care about the rapes. Would you mind explaining why you said that?
Yeah. I said, it doesn't matter whether sexual violence took place on October 7 or not. That doesn't change the dynamic for me around genocide. And that's still something that I stand by. It's a quote that people try to weaponize against me with regular frequency. But I don't think you would disagree with that sentiment, right? Do you feel like sexual violence happening is a justification for genocide?
No, I don't, but I also think, like, in a room where there's future prosecutors and public defenders that are going to go into victims advocacy, purporting that you don't care about sexual violence happening is very dangerous.
Okay, but now that you understand the context of it, you understand what I was saying, right? Because there was a person who was actually claiming that that there was no evidence for sexual violence taking place at all. And the argument, in the much broader context, was me saying whether or not sexual violence has taken place does not change the dynamic or does not justify genocide taking place. I think that's a fairly reasonable critique, right? How do you dismiss accounts of kerosene and... All right, and then the rest of it is just like the full context of it. I guess they put the full context of it in this video, but let me see what else. Part of this problem that many people can't contend with, like, or I don't know, do you think Israel committed a genocide? Maybe you have an issue with that as well.
So victims are collateral damage in pursuit of the greater good.
Do you think Israel committed a genocide, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, why aren't you staying on topic on the question that I asked you?
This is the topic. You asked me a question, I'm asking you so we can have a normal conversation. Do you think Israel committed a genocide?
I do, and I also think that minimizing rape is wrong.
Do you think that the sexual violence taking place on October 7 would justify Israel's a genocide, or do you think genocide is unjustifiable?
I think it's not a dichotomy.
Okay. So where do we go from here? So we're in agreement.
I thank you for your explanation. I just wanted to know why you said that.
That was such a bad faith argument from this person. They didn't even seem to want to establish what the dichotomy was in this case. You aren't minimizing rape. Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't matter because it's just, I mean, this is the next generation of lawyers coming from USF Law. I don't know. I think you should start bringing up the pro-rape rights after you cleared the argument. I wasn't invested in like destroying this person. Okay. That's not how I operate. I was just invested in like neutralizing the argument by just saying what the truth is and then moving on, you know, which again, every single time this kind of thing has happened, the person that always brings stuff like this up, I think in their minds think it's going to like work out very differently. You know, they think like, oh, he's going to be humiliated. He's going to be epically owned. Right. And it just never works that way. It never works that way at all. And I don't know why people still try to do that shit. It's just, to be fair, I think you should explain more why you weren't saying what you said, which is what you were responding to genocide deniers' critiques of you, even though they weren't specifically present in that exact clip. You were on shadowboxing defense mode at that moment, but they don't realize that.
You did not care about rape victims.
Okay. So. Do you feel like I explained it thoroughly?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
That was beautiful to witness. There's hope.
I mean, they agreed with me at the end of it, you know? Yeah, no, the lawyers were also very woke. I mean, it was mostly fans in the room. It was great. Yeah, he turned red by the end of it. I completely disagree with that take. This is the best response you've had to this argument thus far. I mean, I think it's fine, you know? To some degree, you push other people away from your movement when you choose to be cruel beyond just making your point. Yeah, I do what I do regardless. It's just how I am. You know what I mean? It's just who I am. It's how I am. I'm a vulgar person, right? I pop off sometimes. I'm talking for 10 hours. It's not a guarantee that like every moment of those 10 hours are going to be squeaky clean, right? People can try to weaponize that stuff all day, every day, but ultimately I try to lead by empathy. And I try to channel that in every conversation that I have. And a lot of people will try to engage in these sorts of bad faith critiques. But ultimately, you know, I am who I am, right? I think people will either recognize what I'm trying to do and appreciate and understand and can come to the table charitably. Did the person stick around for the group photo? No, they did not. I just don't understand how someone. It's an insane argument because then you're essentially saying the rapes perpetrated on Israel is on par with the worst in the genocide of the Palestinians, which is an untenable position. Exactly. Like, no one who legitimately believes Israel is committing a genocide can make that argument. No one. Okay, because it's a patently ridiculous argument, which is why I asked the question, do you believe Israel committed a genocide? And he didn't want to answer it first. And that's when I was like, oh. And then he realized I'm going to lose the entire room if I just, get into a debate about whether Israel committed a genocide or not. So he thought he could just like say, yes, Israel did commit a genocide. Then I was like, okay, then you understand my point. You agree with my point. Yeah. There's a New Republic article that came out a day ago. Hasan Piker has a few choice words for his bad faith critics. There's also another article from Daniel. There's a Nation article that came out as well. And that's from Daniel Denver. Wait, what? A second Air Force combat plane crashed in the Persian Gulf region on Friday. The lone pilot was rescued. Wait, what the hell? Wait, this is another. Wait, what? No, this has got to be like the one that we know from the one that we saw earlier, right? Like, that's crazy. If they're just dropping like flies, that's what? A second U.S. combat aircraft, an A-10 Warthog, crashed near the Strait of Hormuz. The pilot was safely rescued at roughly the same time an F-15. What the fuck? Hey, yo! Brother, what the fuck is going on, man? John McCain is spinning like a top in his grave thinking about all the fucking fighter jets that are falling. Holy moly. And the Black Hawk was struck too. Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lordy. I didn't know the A-10 went down, too. What the heliante? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, my Lord, that's bad. That's unbelievable, dude. Unfreaking believable. An Iranian capture of U.S. pilots could be a turning point in the war with Iran. God damn, dude. It is... What a day. What a time to be fucking alive, dude. Holy shit. Sorry for the off-topicness, but I've been thinking about China. I'm wondering why you think a China-led world order would be good, or would it just be better than what it is now, which would be very likely to be true, to be honest. I can see the argument. Okay, man. I just... Look. Western domination around the globe has been very beneficial in comparison to the rest of the world for people living in the imperial core. That much is true, okay? Yes. But it's been disastrous for everyone else living in the periphery that has to basically sit around and operate like wage slaves for American empire, for Western empire, and have all their natural resources be extracted, and have foreign capital refuse to actually evenly develop these countries. It's been horrible. I mean, look at what we're doing to Iran right now. Okay, so yeah, I am a fan of a different method. Multipolarity. I think that would be good. It would be good for all these other countries. Give them room to breathe, allow them to develop evenly, unlock some potential that exists in these places, right? I just got back from Cuba. It's a great example of what we have done to another country, the unnecessary cruelty that we subject people to simply to make an argument, right? We're punishing an island of 11 million people that are just trying to survive because, communism bad. It's unbelievable. Our cruelty is pretty much on autopilot. People don't even understand it, right? People don't even realize what we're doing. It's totally ridiculous. It's got to change. And now we are, in many respects, a victim of our own success. We defeated the Soviets. The Cold War ended. Capitalism won. Western superiority was established all around the world, right? And ever since the 90s, we have supercharged capitalism. And in many respects, that ruined domestic politics in the Western world, in the imperial core, the heavy financialization of the global economy, where the Western world no longer has any sort of like robust industrial base, especially not in the United States of America. And obviously, the consequences for the American economy are very obvious. And now you got a handful of oligarchs picking apart the corpse of American empire for scraps. So it's not good for the people that we're dominating and we're murdering. It's certainly not good for the people who are doing the murdering either. And it's not even good for the people who are sitting around in the imperial core. It's good in comparison. We have it much better than they do, right? By virtue of not being under the boot. But even then, something's got to change. Something's got to change. We're terrorizing the world and we're terrorizing ourselves, and we got to fix it. So that's my attitude on multipolarity. That's my attitude on America receiving a little bit of a bloody nose here, maybe a black eye here from Iran or from any of these forces, really, so that we're forced to retreat. We're forced to recalculate exactly how far we can expand empire, and maybe, hopefully, change some things at the domestic home front, change some things for the better, And let me tell you, our nose has been thoroughly bloodied, especially in the past couple of weeks, right? I think you're gravely underestimating Iran's ability to demoralize the United States. Iran? Is that Iran? Calling Iran Aaron is pretty funny. I don't even know if you were trying to do that as a bit, but I like it. Yeah, my boy Aaron, he's a real fighter, dude. Yeah.
A two-seater fighter jet, an F-15. The pilot would be in the front, the weapons systems officer would be in the back, and this would be a very dramatic and very dangerous rescue. Iran's Revolutionary Guard saying that Iranian forces had shot down the U.S. fighter jet overnight, with Iranian state media releasing images of the wreckage of that jet. And
bro, this was so funny. Like, the way that the American media was covering this issue was, I'm sorry, kind of funny. Okay, it's devastating for the pilots, but also it's going to be quite difficult for me to feel a sense of sympathy for American Air Force pilots when I know what they're doing. Right? Like, I've seen what they're doing. It's disastrous. They're responsible for a litany of war crimes. Like, here's an alternative. Don't do that. Right? Quit. Better to be in prison, better to be thrown in the brig than to go and blow up a school, right? Like, you have to make that moral calculation at some point. You have to apply for conscientious objector status. If you don't do that and you're flying over Iranian airspace with your F-15 on your way to fucking blow up a school or another like medical facility, and boom, you get your shit clocked in between, then, fair is fair, right? It's the same principle I have for spies, right? If you're Chinese and you're a Chinese spy and you're spying on America and you get caught, fair is fair. You got. Same with American spies, same with Russian spies, right? If you're Russian, you're spying on Americans, you get caught, fair is fair. If you're an American, you're spying on Russians, you get caught, fair is fair. This is the rules of warfare, right? And the same goes for this. Now, having said that, what I consider to be at least like quite illustrative of the way that the media is trying to massage the war efforts is the fact that CNN International PR did this piece right after they found the wreckage a couple hours ago, right? Like this was originally aired, I think like 6, maybe 7 hours ago. But CNN International PR posted it 4 hours ago. Why is it funny? Because by that point, there was a search and rescue operation that was being conducted at that point for like 4 hours. Okay. So the fact that they were still like, well, CENTCOM told us it's not real. They have all of their, fleet is accounted for. It was just like, buddy, I don't know if you're seeing this, but the tail is in front of you. Okay. That's our thing. That's our fucking fighter jet. You're looking at pieces of it. It's totally ridiculous to be like, well, what we know at the moment is that the Americans in Central Command have said so far that all their planes are accounted for. I mean, I guess the plane is technically accounted for. It's not a lie. It's just, it's accounted for in Iran, right? It says Europe on it, lip dart. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wonder what the rest of the word is, because it doesn't just say Europe. If anything, them saying that only makes them more incompetent. It's just so transparent that they're lying. I think, I will say this, I don't think this generation fully comprehends how information, propaganda, and information warfare is conducted during wartime, because there's obviously the fog of war. But outside of that, like, we now live in an environment where, if any kind of Iranian anti-air defenses take out an F-15, you're going to know about it, because there's going to be numerous angles that people have filmed, right? And if the Iranian government allows it, which clearly they did in this circumstance, that information will be distributed to the Western audiences by way of Western social media. And they'll probably even make a Lego AI video about it, in a couple days. So that's just how this stuff is conducted. So you can't really lie about it, right? You can't just be like, oh, that's not true. Didn't happen, dude. Don't believe your lying eyes. It just doesn't work that way, right? You don't have the level of control that you might have had when there was like 4 fucking TV channels, right? Like when it was 4 TV channels, you could say whatever you wanted. There was no internet. There was no access to the Iranian side unless you had a reporter who would go out and ask the Iranian side, right? Like back then, it was a lot easier to control the flows of information. Nowadays, it's just online immediately, okay? Catch up, old man, Lego vid out. It's out already? That's crazy.
Meantime, Iranian media has released images that appear to show debris of a downed U.S. fighter jet, saying the fate of the pilot is unknown. Well, Matthew Chance is in Doha, covering off some of this latest. Matthew, let's start with what we know about this downed jet in Iran. State media certainly saying it's a US F-35. We've seen the images that they've posted.
Yeah, it's not an F-35. It was an F-15, right? Which, again, I thought they were using the F-35s. Why are they not using the F-35s? I wonder. Because that's another question, right? We have a whole fleet of F-35s that we paid $2 trillion for the R&D on. Why are we using them? What the fuck? $2 trillion. What happened? What happened? Why are we still on that F-15? What the fuck? Also, another question I have personally, because I love my president. I love my president. I love America. and I believe my president, my big, beautiful, bold, brave president. And he keeps telling me we've achieved total victory over Iran. Like air superiority has been established. We're blowing up all the schools for fun now. You know what I mean? We're blowing up bridges and the electrical grid is being threatened. You know, we're now doing flex mode shit, right? Because we established air superiority. So from my perspective, it's just like kind of shocking when I hear stuff like this, because this is not what happens when you have established air superiority. And it's rather strange. I almost feel like my president is fucking lying to me. And if that was the case, everything that I know about the world would be wrong. And I don't know what I would do with myself, because I love my president. I love Donald Trump. I love MAGA, right? And I believe everything he says. And these past 34 days have been rather confusing, because on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, we won. Every time he says we won, I go, yeah, we won. And then he turns around and says, we actually didn't win. Like we still have a lot to do. And I'm like, oh, I guess we didn't win. And then he says, no, but we won anyway. And I celebrate again. And also now gas is $11 a gallon. I don't know what we're fucking winning. I want to feel like we're winning. Mr. President, I want to feel like we're winning. It doesn't feel like we're winning right now. What the fuck?
What do we make of those?
Well, I mean, look, it's a confused picture at the moment. I mean, yes, you're right. State media is touting this idea. They've shot down a very advanced US fighter jet, an F-35. But what a lot of the military experts are talking about right now is that the parts of the wreckage of the plane that have been shown look more like an F-15, still an American plane. The face of the pilot not clear. What we know at the moment is that the Americans and CENTCOM...
Two pilots. What happened? I thought these... Okay, look, I'm not a missile autist. I'm not a plane autist. I know many of you are in this chat right now because you love situation monitoring, okay? So maybe you can explain something to me. I thought these things came with what is known as standoff munitions, right? Like I thought that they had... like plenty of those, because I've always been a committed believer that the United States offensive capabilities are virtually infinite, as opposed to our defensive capabilities, which are obviously finite. Defense is a lot more difficult than offense. It's much easier once you establish air superiority to just like blow shit up, right? What's going on? Right? Like what's happening? I thought we had the capabilities of just lobbing tomahawks from a very long distance, or even from airplanes, right? Like I don't get it. Like, why are you in the range of anti-air defense systems if you already have that? Bro, you make no sense. You act like we have never had jets shot down before. Oh, my goat is back. Yo, Gangi's back. Gangi's back. Mr. Contingency's back. On the day where there are not one, not two, perhaps 4 different assets that have been either dinged or destroyed, this guy's back to be like, dude, what do you mean? America's gotten a shit pushed in with regular frequency. No, as a matter of fact, you're wrong. Okay? This does not happen, at least in like modern American combat. I would go so far as say, like, I can remember obviously like, Yugoslavia, that was a big deal, right? And then the since Vietnam, this hasn't been like a super common incident, right? Because we choose our enemies wisely. We choose our enemies that don't have these sorts of capabilities, right? Nah, deadass, I knew you was about to start this bullshit again. Brother, I don't even know how. Black Hawk Down was a full-ass film. Guys, Black Hawks always do that. They do that for fun, okay? Ospreys and Black Hawks drop like fucking flies. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about something entirely different. We're talking about an F-15. That's just a part of how Black Hawks operate, okay? I mean, literally, they fall all the time. They drop like flies during training. There was a Black Hawk that crashed in the Osama bin Laden raid. Okay? That's just something that they do. That's totally separate. We're not talking about that. But Russia loses a lot of jets, but you say Russia is winning, Law? Buddy, what land have we been able to successfully occupy in Iran? We're losing because we have not accomplished our strategic military objectives. Blowing up schools and blowing up like medical facilities is not exactly winning anything, okay? Maybe you're winning biggest asshole award, okay? But you're not fucking winning any strategic military objectives. At least the reason why I say Russia is winning is not because of like the morality of the situation. Obviously, it's immoral that Russia is engaging in this irredentist action. The reason why I say Russia is winning is because they've hardened their positions on eastern Ukraine. That's it. Like they've literally territorially occupied Ukraine, eastern Ukraine, okay? That's it. That's the difference. Their goal was to occupy the entirety of Ukraine. They didn't achieve that goal. They didn't achieve their maximalist goals, but they retreated back to eastern Ukraine, and now they occupy eastern Ukraine militarily. That's, you know, whether you want to admit it or not, that's a victory for Russia, right? The difference, however, on the other hand, is for America. America's military goals here are to, I guess, like deteriorate Iran's munitions, deteriorate their striking capabilities, which they haven't been able to achieve. Obviously, fucking Israel's still getting bombed. We don't even know. Like, that's the other side of the story. We have no idea how many Israeli Air Force assets Iran has actually been able to successfully destroy, because you can't get any information out of the Negev desert in the same way that you can see the American munitions or the American fighter jets and shadow tankers that get blown up on the Saudi Air Force, the Saudi air bases, right? So we don't even know if they've been able to successfully destroy Israeli Air Force jets as well that are, you know, not flying, because they have achieved a lot of success in destroying planes on the runway that are just like kind of sitting and waiting to go out to battle. But in any case, it's worth noting that Russia is currently not winning. They're currently bleeding more troops than they are replenishing, and having a large portion of their oil production disabled by Ukrainian drones, Hasan. Yeah, look, this is precisely the reason why I said from the start that this would be a spectacular flub for Russia if they were to be stupid enough to invade Ukraine. It's not going to be a fun ride for them at all, and it certainly hasn't been. But ultimately, the battle lines are still the battle lines, right? Is Ukraine winning by this logic? Anyway, let's get back to America.
People that have been speaking about this Central Command, they've said so far that all of their planes are accounted for, and that, you know, the Iranian military authorities often make claims like this. And so, you know, details, as I say, very sketchy at the moment, but, you know, those images are very compelling, and we're hopefully going to get a bit more light shed on this in the hours, perhaps even in the minutes ahead, Ben.
I will say one of the most shocking aspects of this, though, because I was monitoring the situation quite a bit, one of the most shocking aspects of this was the fact that they were able to do a search and rescue mission, right? And it was a crazy one. It was flying super low. You have aerial refueler flying super low alongside two helicopters. There's images of that all over Iranian social media. They were like posting it because it was close enough where they could see it, right? And this is before we get to the A-10, right? The reason why I'm bringing this up is because obviously they were flying so low. It's a very dangerous mission, right? If you've watched Top Gun, you know if you fly that low, you're avoiding the radar, you're avoiding some of the anti-air defense systems, but obviously there's a litany of other dangers that come along with a search and recovery, search and rescue mission such as that. But here it is. There's some videos of it. I want to show it to you. But what was shocking to me, at the very least, was that they just don't have enough man pads, I guess. Because, like, how do you not mobilize? Iran is massive. Iran's a massive country. But, like, how do you not mobilize in specific quadrants, just like, mobile units with man pads immediately to the area, especially as you're in the process of, like, conducting your own search mission to figure out where these incredibly high profile prisoners of war will be, right? But yeah, it's unbelievable. Flying low and slow, very dangerous. Yeah. Now this is obviously very dangerous for I mean, this is dangerous because you can be targeted with like conventional weapons at that point, right? Like small arms and shit, especially depending on how close you get to the ground. But then, I mean, this is at this point, flying like this, I feel like it's just, all it takes is like one man pad, right? Holy shit, that's a tight formation. They're refueling, chatter. Of course, it's a tight formation. You see? From what I understand, some man pads were used to limited success, but you're right. That kind of flying is positively suicidal. Well, it's just the type of flying that you do when you have no other options, where you have to literally engage in this search and rescue mission, and there's no other way to do it. So I think another Top Gun movie could unironically single-handedly restore a lot of Americans' fence-sitters' fates in America's force projection capabilities. Yeah, but what I didn't understand is why the pilots didn't, as soon as they ejected from the F-15, why didn't they go to the nearest Iranian airbase and take over an F-14 and then fly out with it? Because, like, that's what you're supposed to do in that situation, right? Like, that's what I've learned you're supposed to do. I thought that was like standard operating protocol. You eject, you get shot out of the air, you eject, you go to the nearest Iranian airbase, and you take over an F-14 fighter jet, and you fly out with the F-14 fighter jet, right? Because like they have the F-14s, the Iranians do. So you steal that, and then you fly out. That's what you're supposed to do. At least that's what, Tom Cruise taught me is what you're supposed to do. But I guess Israel destroyed all their F-14s, so they can't really do that anymore. Yeah, you pull an F-35 out of inventory. Yeah. Changing to an F-14 is faster than reloading. Yeah. All jets accounted for as they replace the F-15 with an F-14. Yeah, it's just one step below, right? But yeah, it's been interesting watching. Been interesting watching this stuff unfold in the way that Western media is covering it.
Of an intact ejection seat. We do not have those images verified, but they do appear to be credible. The IRGC said it was an F-35, but it was clear that it appeared to be an Air Force F-15. U.S. pilots are trained in what is called SEER. If they're shot down or have to eject over enemy territory. SEER stands for survive, evade, resist, and escape. They, of course, know that the Iranians are looking for them. In fact, Iran put out a message to shoot the pilots if they were found, and a reward was being offered later, they said, if they are found alive. This comes after President Trump claimed in his speech on Wednesday that the Iranians have no anti-aircraft equipment. Their radar, he said, is 100% annihilated.
Iranian state media.
This isn't Star Wars. You can't just steal an Imperial shuttle after your ship crashes. Chatter, that's the joke. That's the joke, is that's what they did in Top Gun. I was joking. Yes, of course you can't do that. So what's interesting about this situation, of course, is that it kind of disparaged a lot of the original propaganda, the initial propaganda that all Iranians are actually welcoming us as liberators. Turns out that wasn't the case. I've seen hundreds of videos of Iranian farmers dusting off their bolt action rifles to take pot shots at these Black Hawk helicopters that were engaging in the search and rescue mission. A lot of people, it didn't seem like these people were actually welcoming them as liberators, unless you can make the argument, and you could convince me on this, because like I said, I love Donald Trump. I'm stupid. I'm the stupidest American. I'm MAGA. I'm in a cult, and I believe everything that Donald Trump tells me. And therefore, you could potentially maybe convince me that the farmers were trying to shoot at the Black Hawk helicopters to be like, come down here. We want to give you Kubi Day. Maybe that was the reason why they were doing that. You guys think that's the reason? Maybe. Maybe they were like, come down, like come enjoy our Kubi Day. Maybe that's what they were doing when they were shooting at the helicopters, engaging in a search and rescue operation. Like they just had no other way to communicate, so they were just shooting at it, right? They were welcoming bullets, welcoming the Americans as liberators, right? You're telling me the Iranian people didn't side with the U.S. after they killed 160 little schoolgirls? Who would have thought? Yeah, very odd. I just... yeah, maybe the Iranians have watched a lot of American cowboy television and they think this is how Americans talk to one another, by shooting at each other. So that's why they were welcoming, they were signaling that they were greeting people like this is how America, this is how they say marhaba in America. Like maybe that was what was going on, you think? I don't know. Anyway,
yes, a U.S. fighter jet has been shot down over Iran's airspace. U.S. media are reporting this hour that one crew member has been rescued. Tehran says the U.S. military has been conducting a search and rescue operation. Iranian media say a helicopter, which was part of the effort, has also been hit by a projectile. State TV has aired footage of...
My beautiful 29-year-old baby was just kidnapped from his F-15E Strike Eagle for, you guessed it, being white. Yeah, Iranians are searching for your baby. No, but you see, these guys are actually there to make sure that the American fighter pilot gets a warm welcome, as in, like... if he lands on Iranian soil and no one has guns, Americans panic because they're like, where am I? This must be a communist country or something. No one has guns. So the reason why these guys have guns is to be like, hey, we're just like you, American. We have guns as well. Yeah, they have the flags as well to be like, see, this is Iran, very similar to America. We also have guns.
سلام علیکم یالا یالا سلام حاجی سلام علیکم خسته نباشی خسته نباشی یالا سلام علیکم حاجی سلام علیکم حدیث چیه پیدا کردی ان شاء الله پیدا میشه.
Yeah, they're actually bringing comfort guns for the pilot. I figured it out. I'm still working on it. I'm still workshopping exactly how this fits into they're welcoming us as liberators mentality that I've been hearing quite a bit from every Israeli mouthpiece and every American mouthpiece as well, including my favorite president of all time, Donald Trump. And I guess they're bringing emotional support guns because they're like, oh, you just lost your fighter jet and you probably feel a little scared right now. We wanted to give you this gun as emotional support because this is how Americans operate.
Inshallah.
Yeah, they know Americans love guns. They're bringing gifts. So the Iranians started their own search and rescue operations as well. And in the process of their own search and rescue operations, the Iranian government came out and said, we'll give a big bounty to anyone who finds and captures the pilot alive. There's two of them, right? There's supposed to be two of them. There's the weapons officer, and then there's also the pilot, the navigator. And as far as we understand, one of them, according to Israeli news at least, one of them has been rescued successfully. The other, we don't know where he is. And this is before we get to. This is, of course, before we get to the other story. There's a second plane that was down via the New York Times as well. So there's that too. Fake ass news. How dare you? Hasan Piker, the pilot did make it to the Iranian airfield, but the F-14 was inflatable. Tell the real story. Oh, the pilot got rescued. The weapons officer's MIA. Okay. So it hasn't really been a really good day for the war effort, I will say. Hasn't been a really good day. There hasn't really been any good days, honestly, and that's probably the reason why we just keep doing terrorism. The worse things get, the more we blow up medical facilities, schools, children's hospitals, things like that. It's just the way that America tries to redefine the boundaries of the war. When you can't achieve your military objectives, you just kind of kill a bunch of people and you pat yourself on the back for doing so. That's might come across as very cruel, might come across as like redefining the rules of war that have been established, that America actually played a formative role in establishing after World War II. To that I say, what are you, some kind of hippie? Are you gay? Are you woke? We are doing non-libtarded war, which is when you don't achieve any of your military objectives and you just kill a bunch of civilians and you blow up, facilities used by civilians, right? That's how you fucking own the libs, I think. I don't know. But yeah, it kind of feels like we're not winning hearts and minds here, which is putting me in a unique predicament as someone who loves the president and someone who loves war. I love war. I love death and destruction. And this has been a strange couple of days. So, yeah, we will achieve no strategic objectives, and in the process, we'll just do a lot of death and destruction. It's fucking fantastic.
It's wreckage of a downed U.S. aircraft. The video, as you can see there, appears to show metal and debris in the back of a truck. Let's bring in Kimberly Halkett, our White House correspondent in Washington, D.C. So, Kimberly, U.S. media reporting that at least one crew member has been rescued. What more are we hearing?
Yeah, well, we're awaiting official statement from the U.S. Central Command, and we expect one is forthcoming. In the interim, what I can tell you is a lot of confusion in the last hour or so with regard to what is accurate and what's being reported. Of course, Iranian state media releasing videos of a search and rescue mission being conducted by the U.S. military, showing video of multiple, at least 2 Black Hawk helicopters, as well as a C-130 flying very low over central and southwest Iran in a search and rescue operation. The question becoming, are there 2 pilots or one that has been the subject of the search? And it does appear now that at least one pilot, it is being reported, has been recovered, but again, unconfirmed reports. What this suggests with one pilot, that it would be an F-35, but there has been more reporting to suggest also that there is a search for 2 pilots, which would mean this is then an F-15 that has been down. So a little bit of confusion regarding the aircraft and the number of pilots, and that is why we are awaiting the CENTCOM public press release in order to confirm some of these details. What we do know, however, though, is that the U.S. President Donald Trump has been briefed about this.
Could this be a false flag justifying Easter invasion? Buddy, you're out of your dang mind. Okay? No. They're not trying to literally show their ass to the rest of the world. This is a fucking huge flub. We already amassed a number of troops in the region. If you want to fucking invade, you just invade. Trump has said it already. He doesn't need a fucking false flag. It's already over. Trump is not responsive to public pressure at all. It doesn't matter at all. This is probably the dumbest false flag that you could possibly conduct. There's just no, you don't do this. They're not just pretending to take significant L's here, okay? Significant L's that undermine the argument that they presented for the past 30 fucking days, which is, we're doing great. We're doing great. We've destroyed all of their anti-air systems. We have full air superiority. We've destroyed all of their missile launchers as well. Their missile launching capabilities have been diminished. That's a lie. All of that is a lie. And this proves that all of that is a lie. Like, I don't think this is how you would do a false flag at all.
Incident, and is following it very closely. And so we are also awaiting a statement from the White House. But in the interim, what we can tell you definitively is that this video does conclusively show that the claim made by the U.S. president that Iran's air defenses and air capabilities had been destroyed is not true, given the fact that Iran is claiming that it has shot down U.S. military aircraft.
Kimberly Halkett at the White House, thank you for that update. Let's check in with Ali Hashim now in Tehran. Ali, what are the Iranians saying about this downed jet?
Well, officially, the only lines we are hearing is that the military and people are looking for the pilots or the pilot, because the narrative here in Iran is that this was an F-35 jet. Now, the Americans are saying it's an F-15 with 2 pilots. So this is over here the issue. Now, with respect to reactions, we are seeing the Iranian Speaker of Parliament, Mohammad Baghar Ghalibaf, character and personality, very influential these days, and his name is being repeated a lot. He says in a tweet on X, after defeating Iran 37 times in a row, this brilliant no-strategy war they started has now been downgraded from regime change to, hey, can anyone find out our pilots, please? So this is the first official reaction. At the end, there's something very crucial here. This is not the first time the Iranians are saying they're attacking or hitting American or Israeli fighter jets. It started on the 19th of March when they said they struck an F-35. Then from the American side, there was a report on an incident that took place with this plane and that the pilot was in stable condition. Later on, we heard about F-15.
Hasan, do you think it's important to mention that Iran has no internet for over a month? So most of the things you see is what the Iranian government wants you to see. Not saying there was internet. You're going to see Iranians cheering for the bombs or anything like that. Yeah, I did mention that. But once again, Samira, welcome back, by the way. Welcome back to doing the same thing that you do every single time. I mentioned that in the beginning of the story, as a matter of fact. Maybe you weren't here. Maybe you didn't hear me say that. But that was quite literally the first thing that I mentioned when I talked about how unique it is that there are so many reports or so many social media posts coming from the ground about these low-flying these low-flying aircraft on Iranian soil, given the fact that Iran has been in an effective internet blackout. You know, bro, I need to correct you on one thing, though. I did. You said Morandi's not connected to the government, but I was waiting for the right moment. I said Morandi is a spokesperson, the de facto spokesperson for the government, but officially, I don't believe he is. I mean, his father, I think, was like a surgeon for Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, right? But I don't think he is. I've said he's effectively a spokesperson. Once again, I know. Let's continue.
16, and now we're hearing about the F-35. Just a few days ago, there were pictures of one jet. I don't remember quite the number, but the jet was hit above the area of Sistan, Baluchistan, precisely Chabahar. And there were some videos showing how it was targeted. Now, there was a lot of controversy around this video. Today, it's clear that, yes, Iran has struck.
Why is it every time I tune in, you're defending the violent bullies? First Hamas, then the Houthis, then Cuba, now Iran. If only, hear me out, if only there was a significantly more violent force that was dominating every single one of these non-state actors and also state actors. Just think for a moment. Just think. Who's on the opposing side in these incidents? Is it within your capacity to recognize that perhaps maybe we are the bullies, the violent bullies? Landing on Iran is deadly, costly, yes, but it's like a D-Day to liberate them. You're a fucking idiot. Okay, whatever, dude. To liberate them. Bro is operating on 2003 talking points in 2026, bro. I swear to God. Amazing. 23 years of liberation, and he's still like, well, what if we're just like doing a D-Day style liberation campaign? Like, what if I'm a fucking idiot who was comatose for the past 23 years, just woke up from a coma, and the only thing I learned about was when America did World War II? What then? What now, libtard? What do you have to say to that?
an American jet. And the IRGC said a few days ago that they've developed, after the 12 days war, they've developed a new system of anti-aircraft missiles. What's this system? Is it carried on the shoulder? Is it a system? No one knows.
Okay, Ali, thank you for that update. Ali Hashim in Tehran there for us.